Some people don't like movies. Some people don't like TV. Some people don't like books. And still some people don't like video games. But I would submit to the court that everybody loves them some music. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. And today we're going to be talking about my completely unqualified opinion as to humanity's long-standing love of music. Now, the love of music goes back a very, very long way. There is probably a specific date as to when the first song was created. However, this is a 10-minute podcast. I don't do that kind of research. And I can't afford to pay somebody else to do that research. Therefore, I'm going to give you an unqualified opinion. Now, I can't speak to the prehistoric among us who love music. They did. We know for certain they did. We have archaeological evidence going back of instruments, and I don't know how they have archaeological evidence of this, but they have archaeological evidence of like gatherings and people playing music, whether that was simple percussion or it involved other instruments or it involved shakers and whatnot. Side note, that's fun when you learn that WH is not just what, it's actually what. It's fun for me. I'm a nerd. I nerd on things. I'm nerding on that. Anyways, humanity's love affair with music goes back almost to the beginning of self-consciousness in humanity. Now, I do not know that animals enjoy music. I don't, but I don't specifically know that there's things outside of physical sensations that animals truly enjoy. I know dogs enjoy hearing our voices, and I know elephants. I actually don't know if this is true. I've seen this, and then I've seen that it's fake. Elephants, see us as cute. But again, for both the dog and the elephant, those are visual or audio stimulation. They are not specifically sound created by us. Why does humanity love to both take in music and sing out? Well, I can't speak for the very prehistoric. However, I can speak somewhat to early cultures and to continuing cultures today because, well, frankly, I have some proof of what early cultures did. And that is through the Bible, the good book. I'm not going to try to convince you today to join the good book or to follow the good book or to believe in it. I'm simply going to use it as a historical record and as the beginnings of why humanity is so dug in on the music thing. And we're going to look at the Psalms, and we're just going to look at it generally. The Psalms are quite literally verses. Literally. And I don't mean literally metaphorically. I mean literally. You'll see across the book of Psalms that at certain points in the stanza, there is, basically an instruction to the choir as to where this fits in. And it is singing out to the Lord. It is a form, and a very important form, of worship. And you see it scattered throughout the Bible, that the Lord takes in worship through song, through music. And the Lord listens to it, and it is good. And you see this not just in Christianity. You see this in other religions as well, that one of the best ways to express worship, to express thanks, to express frustration, to express emotion, is through music. So what does that tell us? Well, it doesn't tell us that we just sort of, it doesn't tell us that we believe that this had it just sort of popped up. Music is divine. That is what we draw as our conclusion from that. And again, 10-minute podcast. I'm making that conclusion very quickly so we can move on to more discussion of music. I could draw it out more. Not a professor of music history. Would love a professor of music history to chime in. But there's a sense, at least in early humanity, that music is divine. And it's not just, as I said, the Christians who did this. The Greeks literally had, there's that word again, literally. The Greeks had the muses. And now when people nowadays say, oh, he or she is my muse, that's what they're referring to. They're referring to a Greek divinity who inspired art. Among the art, it inspired music, inspired singing. Why? Because, once again, we see this idea. Music is divine. It is a gift to humanity to allow us to fully flesh out the experiences that we have in living. So what we see with that, and of course other things are gifts as well, right? Other things are seen as gifts as well. Literature, but there is just something very pure about the gift of music. Something that kind of sits on your soul. Like you get obsessed with TV shows, you get obsessed with movies, you get obsessed with books, but there's nothing quite like having an earworm song. Songs that literally don't leave your brain. Like lines in books you have rattling around your head for a few days, maybe. But music has a certain way about it. It has a certain way of getting caught up in us. The early humans, and continuing today, would say it's because music is a divine gift in order for us to find a new universal way to express ourselves. How do we see the universality? I'm going to go with that as a word. The universal nature is probably a better way to phrase it. The universal nature of music. Well, look at the incredible hit sensation that was Despacito. Now, Despacito, if I have this correctly, is a song that was based out of Puerto Rico by Luis Fonsi and I think it was Daddy Yankee? Maybe. It was a global smash sensation. Now, across the globe, there are many people who speak Spanish. Sure. But Luis Fonsi didn't necessarily record in the type of Spanish that every country around the world would have been familiar with. He recorded it, I believe, and I can be corrected on this, he recorded it in the Puerto Rican version of Spanish. People just grooved to it. It didn't matter that people didn't understand the nuances of every word. It still sat with them. It still resonated. It still reached the human soul. The divine gift kept on giving. Didn't matter the language. And that's that's another example of the universal nature of music, and the evidence for it being sort of this divine gift is that you can listen to music from almost anywhere across the world, and anybody can appreciate it without really even understanding the entire base of it. Now, some is different than others, right? Like, it's much harder to appreciate jazz fully if you don't understand jazz. But even so, if you listen to jazz artists play, you'll say to yourself, wow, those guys, I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing something. My friend had a recording of, I think it was Himalayan throat music, something along those lines. And I listened to it. I'd never heard Himalayan throat music before, and it was incredible. So the question we opened with is, why does everybody love music? Again, there's scientific reasons for this too. I don't like them. They're not as magical. They might be more accurate, but they're not as magical. The idea of music as a gift is powerful, and it means that art itself is a gift. And so what do you do when you receive a gift? Well, some people would argue that you should never hoard it. If you find a song that you love, continue the proud tradition stretching all the way back to the Greeks. Find someone, share it with them, and if you don't like that person, find the most earworm song that you can find, plug it into their brain, and watch as they scratch at their ears and try to dislodge a song that is going to become something they will never forget. This was a weird one. We dove into a little bit of history. I focused on the word literally far too often. But I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. This was 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a good day.